So, I just watched Hulk, and I did not like it. This movie was not fun to watch. It's insanely bad. For the longest time, I procrastinated on watching this movie. I watched this movie once when I was a kid, and I hated it. I thought it was boring, and I just didn't like it. And I never revisited it because I hated this movie as a kid. As a child, I did not like this movie. So I really did not want to watch this movie, and I procrastinated so long to not watch it. But like I said, I'm married to the game, so I did it anyways, and it was pretty much what I expected it to be. Like, there's not a lot that I liked, but there are some things that I did like. Like, for example, Buff Reptile's motivations are there, and they actually make sense within the movie. You can see why he's angry and what he wants to do. Yeah, whatever. I can get behind that. That's fine. The soundtrack is actually really good. It's actually underratedly good. Underrated? Is that a word? Underratedly? I don't know. Anyways, the soundtrack is good, and yeah, there's some moments when you're just watching the movie and the soundtrack will just be popping off. It's pretty entertaining if you ask me. There's this one scene where Hulk is revealed, and yeah, I like it. I think it's a really cool scene. I think it's a really good way to like show, the Hulk in this universe. And yeah, I don't know. It just looked cool. And of course, the last scene with Tony Stark. When Tony Stark shows up on this movie, I was glad. He is one of the main characters that I actually like in the MCU, and it is really good to see. And it also was a sign that my pain and suffering was coming to an end. Thank God. Other than that, the movie is trash. It is the most out of place movie in the MCU. The tone is different because it's made by Universal. It's the only movie made by Universal. Like, I don't know how to explain this, but if you watch Iron Man and then you go and watch this movie, you'll know exactly what I am talking about. The feel of the movie is just totally different. You know how in Iron Man, how I gave that movie credit for having really good effects and just making the Iron Man suit really good? Well, I cannot say the same thing for this movie. The effects are really bad. Specifically Hulk. Hulk is not integrated into this movie very well. I really don't know how to explain it other than just showing you. Look at that. Why does he look like that? So ugly. Oh, and he's dead. Like, he just does not look good and just doesn't look convincing. And it's really noticeable when there's a real shot with a CGI shot. Like, there's this big action scene where Hulk and like the army are fighting, whatever, and it's really noticeable how bad the effects are. Like, it's bad. He does not look good in this movie. The characters are not engaging. They are very boring on screen. Liv Tyler whispers all of her lines, and it's really distracting. Now, it's really weird because there are some times where she'll just yell out of nowhere, and it's really just weird how she yells. And then there are some times where she's yelling and whispering at the same time, and then there's some times where she just, or majority of the time I should say, she's just whispering her lines. It's weird. It is kind of soothing though, I'm not gonna lie. But it's still very weird. I'm sorry, Liv Tyler. Your beautiful eyes cannot save you from this criticism. Edward Norton isn't doing that great of a job. Like, he's just not selling the character of Hulk. And I don't think it's entirely his fault, but it still is. The script doesn't allow him to really express his character. But his performance itself isn't that great either. Like, he's just not doing a good job, and you can tell why they recasted him. But the main problem with this movie is that it moves so fast. When I say this movie moves insanely fast, I mean this movie moves insanely fast. By the time you figure out what's going on in a scene, the scene moves on. And then in the next scene, it doesn't even talk about what the previous scene was talking about. It's talking about something totally different. And then the next scene, that's the exact same thing. By the time you're watching the scene that's after that, you're trying to figure out what's going on. And it goes on and on and on and on. The movie moves so fast that it is hard to really engage with the plot lines. You cannot be engaged with these characters. You don't even understand why these characters are doing what they're doing. Well, you understand why, but you can't really be engaged with it because of how fast the movie is going. It's like it's trying to rush its way through and just get through the end. It's extremely distracting, and like I said in my Iron Man video, I love good storytelling, and this makes for some bad storytelling. It is insanely frustrating to watch these characters just go through the motion, explain something in a scene, and then just keep going. Now, not every single scene, is fast. There are some scenes that are really, really slow. But again, since the scenes before it are just moving so fast, when you get to these slow scenes, it makes the movie incredibly boring. Because you're not engaged on what's going on. You're just watching two people talk. And it's so bad. Oh my gosh. Why did I do this? Even the climax of this movie is so fast. Like, I was watching it and the climax just came out of nowhere. It's literally just trying to get to the end, and it makes no sense. And the final fight is just not very good. Like, it's not that I can't see what's going on, which, yeah, I really can't see what's going on. The color grading is awful. Like, you have a brown, evil, reptile, buff guy, and then you have a green Hulk in a dark city. What? That's not a good combination. What are you doing? And like I said, the scene itself moves so fast. The fight is just gone like that. Like, you don't even have time to even watch these two monsters fight each other. Well, you do, but like by the time you're actually engaged within the scene, it's over. The scene is over. I just don't get it. I don't like this movie. I did not like it. I did not have a good time. Man. This movie is the Phantom Menace of the MCU. If you completely skip this movie, you will not miss a thing. There are no plot lines that go into the overarching story of the MCU, and everyone literally gets recasted. Like, everyone except Ross. He's the only one that you see. But my point is that every single character is just non-existent. If you watch the entire MCU, this movie pretty much does not exist. 2 out of 10, we're done here.